The great hall of the Galactic Council was vast and filled with light. Its ceiling curved like the inside of a starship dome, and the floor reflected the glow of 1,000 symbols that represented each advanced species across the galaxy. For ages, this hall had been the place where decisions were made that shaped the future of civilizations. On this day, the humans entered for the first time. They came in simple gray suits, standing together, trying to look calm though their hearts raced. To them, everything was new. The endless hum of alien voices, the strange shapes of beings from across the stars, the feeling of being so small among giants. Some aliens were taller than buildings, their armored bodies gleaming like living steel. Others were beings of shifting light, their forms changing every second. The air shimmered with scents and sounds from worlds humans had never seen. At the center of the hall stood the high seat, where the council leaders watched. One of them, a towering reptilian with scales like black glass, rose to speak. His voice rolled through the chamber like thunder. Today we welcome the humans of Earth, a young species who has only just touched the stars. We will judge their worthiness to stand among us. Murmurs passed through the delegates. Some looked at the humans with curiosity, others with scorn. A crystalline being whose body glowed faintly leaned forward and spoke in a tone sharp as broken glass. They are small, weak, and soft. Their bones snap easily. Their lifespans are short. What did they offer the galaxy? The humans shifted uneasily. Their leader, Aaron, kept his face calm, though anger stirred inside him. He was not tall or powerful compared to the others in the hall, but his eyes held quiet determination. Another delegate, a being of mist and swirling gases, released a low sound like a sigh. I have studied their biology. They bleed quickly. They feel pain intensely. Their world is harsh, yet their bodies are fragile. Can such a species endure the trials of space? The words fragile echoed again and again across the hall. The humans had expected this. From the first moment they had made contact with the greater galaxy, they had felt the weight of judgment. To others, their skin was thin, their bones delicate, their muscles weak. Many species could live centuries, but humans aged quickly. In the eyes of the council, they were children playing among titans. A delegate shaped like a massive insect struck the floor with its claw. They cannot fight. They cannot endure radiation or heat. Their minds are easily broken. The galaxy has no place for such weakness. A ripple of agreement followed. Some voices called for the humans to return home. Others suggested they serve only as a minor trading species, never trusted with responsibility. Arun finally stepped forward. His voice was steady, though his heart pounded. We came here to join, not to be dismissed. You speak of weakness, but you do not yet understand what has shaped us. The chamber grew quiet for a moment. The alien eyes turned toward him, waiting. Arun wanted to say more, to explain the long history of Earth, but the high seat raised one scaled hand to silence him. You will have a chance to prove yourselves, the leader said. His voice was deep and final, leaving no room for argument. Until then, the council sees humans as fragile. The words felt like a blow. Aaron returned to his group, his hands tight at his sides. He could see the disappointment in the faces of his people, but also the spark of something else, anger mixed with pride. The meeting continued, but the humans barely heard the rest. They had come with dreams of respect, of being welcomed as equals, yet they were being judged only by their bodies. None of the council saw the truth behind their endurance, the lessons carved into them by struggle and pain across centuries. When the meeting ended, Aaron walked slowly through the great doors. He looked once more at the hall filled with towering beings, each stronger, larger, or stranger than humanity. For now they saw Earth as nothing more than fragile flesh. But Aaron knew what they did not. That fragility was only the surface. Beneath it lay something far more dangerous, something the galaxy would one day see. Outside the hall, the stars stretched in endless blackness. The humans boarded their modest ship, silent as it rose away from the council world. Inside, one of Aaron's companions, Mira, broke the silence. They think we are weak. They think pain makes us break. Aaron's voice was low, steady. Then we will show them what pain has taught us. The others nodded. Their journey among the stars had only just begun, and the galaxy would soon learn that fragile was not the same as broken. The ship carrying the humans drifted through the quiet black of space. Inside, the air was tense. The council's words had stung, each one a reminder of how little the galaxy understood them. Mira sat in silence, her eyes on the stars beyond the window. She replayed the words fragile again and again. The council had judged them by their bones, their skin, their short lives. They had not asked about their history, their struggles, or the scars that every human carried in one form or another. Aaron stood at the center of the cabin. His face was calm, but behind his eyes a storm brewed. He thought of his grandmother's stories, told when he was a boy. She had lived through times when life seemed impossible, when hunger gnawed at every home and storms tore across the land. Yet she had endured, and she had taught him that pain was never the end. Pain was a teacher shaping the spirit to rise again. As the ship moved, the crew gathered. There were not many, just 12 humans representing billions back on Earth. Each carried the weight of their world. "We should not be surprised," said Ravi, a quiet man with steady hands. "They see us as soft because they do not know the world that shaped us." Mira turned to him. "Then maybe we must remind ourselves first. What is fragile in the eyes of the council has been tested 1,000 times before." Her words settled over the group like a spark. They began to speak, not of the council, but of Earth itself. They remembered the long winters where cold had claimed lives, yet villages had survived by sharing warmth. They remembered times when disease swept across continents, but humans learned to fight back, to heal, and to grow stronger. They remembered wars that had scarred nations, yet out of ashes came unity and rebuilding. Every story was filled with pain, but also with endurance. Aaron listened and then spoke. "Pain is the one companion our species has always known. It breaks us, but it also forces us to rise. Every scar we carry is proof that we did not stop. The council does not understand this, but they will." The crew nodded. The ship descended toward Earth. From orbit, the planet looked calm. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds swirling. Yet beneath that beauty lay the history of survival, written in every stone and every human life. When they landed, they were welcomed by families and officials. Word of the council's judgment had already reached Earth. Some were angry, some afraid. Would humanity always be seen as weak? Would they ever stand as equals? Aaron spoke to them with steady strength. The council saw only our skin and our bones. They did not see our will. They did not see the lessons of our past. We will show them. Over the next days, Arun traveled across his homeland, speaking to people, gathering stories and remembering. At an old town by the sea, he met a fisherman whose hands were rough from decades of storms. The man told him of nights when waves rose higher than houses, when boats shattered, when hope seemed lost. Yet still, the people rebuilt. "We are fragile, yes," the fisherman said with a smile. "But fragile things learn to bend. We bend, and we do not break." In a mountain village, Aaron met an old woman who had survived earthquakes. She spoke of the ground shaking, homes falling, and lives lost. Yet after every disaster, people came together, building again with stronger hands. She placed her wrinkled hand on Aaron's. "Pain teaches us. That is the gift the others do not know." In the city, he met doctors and nurses who had faced plagues, fighting day after day, losing many but saving more. Their faces carried exhaustion, but also the quiet strength of those who never surrendered. Everywhere he went, Arun saw the truth. Humans were fragile in body, but not in spirit. Pain had shaped them into something more than the council could measure. One night he stood on a hill overlooking a ruined battlefield, now covered in grass and flowers. Long ago, people had fought here and many had fallen. Yet now life had returned. Aaron thought of the council's words again. Fragile, weak, soft. He whispered to himself, "No, we are the children of pain." And pain made us stronger. Back on the ship, the crew gathered again. Aaron told them the stories he had heard. They shared their own memories, each one carrying scars of the past. Mira spoke of losing her father to sickness, yet she had grown to become a healer. Ravi spoke of a time when hunger had nearly claimed his village, but they had survived by working together. Each story reminded them that pain was not just suffering. It was a lesson, a forge that tempered the human spirit. The ship soon received a message from the council. A trial awaited them. A derelict station near a neutron star needed repair, a task most species had failed to complete. It was dangerous, filled with radiation and crushing forces. The council saw it as a way to test humanity's so-called fragility. The crew listened in silence. Finally, Mira said, They think this trial will break us. Aaron's eyes shone with quiet fire. Then it will be the place where we show them who we are. The humans began their preparations. They studied the maps of the station, the data on the neutron star, the warnings of radiation and gravity. They knew the dangers. They knew the pain that waited. But none of them flinched. As the ship lifted once more into the stars, Aaron thought of his grandmother again. She had once told him, "You will be judged by how you rise after falling." The council had judged them fragile. Soon they would see what pain had taught humanity, and when they saw, the galaxy would never forget. The human ship moved steadily through the black sea of space. Its engines hummed like a heartbeat, carrying its small crew toward the trial chosen by the Galactic Council. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to their journey. Ahead, far beyond ordinary light, the neutron star pulsed. It was a beacon of danger. Its gravity strong enough to crush metal, its radiation fierce enough to burn through flesh. The derelict station circled the star like a wounded bird. Once it had been a proud research outpost, but now it was broken and drifting. Half its structure was dark, its shields failing, its systems collapsing under the weight of the star's fury. Many species had tried to reach it before. None had returned alive. For the Council, this was a test. If humans were truly fragile, they would fail and be forgotten. If they survived, perhaps the galaxy would look at them differently. Inside the ship, Aaron stood before his crew. His face was steady, though the lines of worry marked his forehead. "We all know the risks," he said. "The radiation will burn. The gravity will crush. The station will fight us at every step. But we are not here to give up. We are here to show who we are." The crew listened in silence. Their hearts were heavy, but none looked away. Mira's eyes were firm, Ravi's jaw set in determination, and the others stood tall, ready. The ship approached the station. Warning lights filled the control panels. Radiation levels rose sharply. The gravitational pull tugged at the hull, making the structure groan. The ship shuddered as though it too feared what awaited. "Docking sequence ready," said Mira, her voice calm, though her hands trembled slightly. The ship latched onto the broken station with a heavy clang. The air was tense. Beyond the airlock waited a place where other species had perished. Aaron led the way. The doors opened with a hiss and the humans stepped into darkness. The station smelled of burned metal and stale air. Sparks flickered from broken wires. The floor tilted slightly under the pull of the neutron star. Every breath felt heavy. Ravi checked the scanners. "Radiation levels are rising. Suits will hold, but not for long." "Then we move fast," Aaron said. They advanced through the station, flashlights cutting across the dark halls. The walls were cracked, panels ripped open. In some places, gravity pressed them down so hard that every step felt like dragging chains. Their bodies ached, bones straining under invisible weight. At one junction, Mira stumbled, her knees buckling. The others rushed to help, lifting her. She forced a smile. "I am fine. Keep going." Her voice was thin, but her spirit burned. The team reached the control chamber. The main power core was failing, its systems sparking wildly. Without repairs, the station would fall into the star within hours. Aaron studied the controls. "We need to stabilize the core and restore the shield systems. That will buy time." They set to work. Tools clattered, sparks flew, alarms screamed. Every second, the pull of the star grew stronger, pressing against their bodies. Their suits strained, warning lights flashing red. Pain followed quickly. Fingers cramped, backs ached, muscles tore under the weight. The radiation made their skin burn beneath the suits. Sweat poured into their eyes. Ravi's hands shook as he forced a panel into place. "It hurts," he muttered. Aaron glanced at him. "Then let the pain remind you why we are here. Push through." The words gave Ravi strength. He gritted his teeth and continued, ignoring the fire in his veins. Hours passed like days. The humans worked through exhaustion, holding one another up when one faltered. Mira collapsed twice, but each time she stood again. Arun's hands bled from sharp metal edges, but he wrapped them quickly and kept moving. Every scar, every ache became a mark of endurance. Finally, the core began to stabilize. Lights flickered back to life and the shields hummed weakly. The station was no longer falling, but the trial was not over. A sudden alarm blared. One of the outer sections had torn loose, opening a breach. If not sealed, the entire station would collapse. "Manual repair only," Mira said after checking the console. "It is outside the shielded area." That meant exposure. That meant stepping into a place where radiation would tear through them. Arun looked at his crew. I will go. No, Mira said firmly. We all go together. The others nodded without hesitation. They suited up again and moved into the exposed section. The radiation hit them like fire, their suits straining to hold it back. The gravity pulled so hard that every movement was agony. Yet they pressed forward, they reached the breach. Metal twisted and bent outward, the vacuum howling. Working together, they sealed the gap, welding plates into place, their hands shaking, their bodies screaming with pain. Minutes felt like eternity. Their lungs burned, their vision blurred. Some fell to their knees only to be lifted by others. When the last weld was done, the breach sealed with a hiss. The station held. The humans staggered back inside, collapsing against the walls. Their suits were scorched, their bodies trembling. Faces pale, eyes heavy, they still smiled through exhaustion. The station's system slowly stabilized. Power flowed again, shields grew stronger. And the orbit steadied. Against the pull of the neutron star, against the fire of radiation, the humans had succeeded where others had failed. As they sat in silence, catching their breath, Aaron looked around at his crew. Every face was marked by suffering, but none were broken. They called us fragile, he whispered. Yet we are still here, the others nodded. Their bodies hurt, their spirits burned, but they had endured. Far away, the council watched through their monitors. They had seen every step, every stumble, every scar. And what they saw shook them. Species stronger in body had failed. Species with greater technology had turned back. But the humans, soft and weak in appearance, had endured through pain. The trial was complete. But the lesson was only beginning. The station floated steady at last, its systems humming like a wounded beast slowly finding its breath again. Where once it had drifted toward certain destruction, now it held its place in the fierce pull of the neutron star. Inside, the humans rested, their bodies battered but their eyes alive with quiet fire. They had done what others could not. Aaron sat against the cold wall of the control chamber. His suit was scorched, his gloves torn, his skin raw beneath the fabric. His crew lay around him, each one marked by exhaustion, but none broken. He felt pride swell in his chest. For the first time since their arrival in the galaxy, he believed the council would have to see the truth. The call from the council world came within hours. The monitors flickered and the great hall appeared, filled with alien delegates. Their glowing eyes, their massive forms, their shifting bodies, all of them stared in silence at the humans who appeared on their screens. The high seat leaned forward, his scaled face unreadable. You have completed the task, he said. Others have failed where you endured. Explain this, Aaron stood. His legs trembled, but he did not let them see weakness. He spoke not in anger, but in calm strength. You called us fragile, he said, and you were not wrong. Our bodies are soft. Our bones break. Our lives are short. But what you do not see is that pain has been our teacher since the beginning. The hall shifted. Some delegates leaned closer, their voices whispering. Others frowned, uncertain. Arun continued, his voice growing stronger. On our world, storms destroy our homes, but we build again. Diseases strike us, but we fight to heal. Wars scar our lands, but we rise from the ashes. Every time we fall, pain shows us how to stand again. We do not escape suffering. We endure it. We learn from it. And we grow stronger. Mira stepped forward beside him. Her face was pale, but her voice carried clear across the chamber. When our muscles tear, they rebuild stronger. When our bones break, they heal harder. When our hearts lose those we love, we learn to carry their memory. Pain does not end us. Pain shapes us. The council was silent. Some of the alien delegates shifted uneasily, as though they were hearing something strange and dangerous. Ravi joined them, his voice steady. You see only fragility, but fragility forced us to adapt. Fragility taught us to bend instead of shatter. That is why we survived your trial. Where others gave up, we remembered every lesson our history taught us. That is the strength of humanity. The hall remained still. Then a crystalline delegate spoke, its voice sharp as ice. Pain weakens. Pain destroys. It is not strength. Aaron looked directly at the being. Yes, pain destroys. It breaks bodies. It leaves scars. But strength is not found in never falling. Strength is found in rising again and again, no matter how many times you are struck down. That is what you did not understand about us. That is why you called us fragile. The words rang through the chamber. For a moment, silence hung heavy, as if the council itself did not know how to answer. At last, the high seat raised his scaled hand. Your trial has shown us something unexpected. Your endurance is real, but pain is a dangerous teacher. It can twist as well as strengthen. How can we trust that you will not be broken? Aaron met his gaze. Because if we were meant to be broken, we would have perished long ago. Yet here we are standing before you, alive when stronger species have fallen. Mira added softly, "We are not unbroken, we carry scars. But scars are not weakness. Scars are proof we survived." The words struck deep. Delegates looked at one another, their glowing eyes uncertain. They had never considered that scars could be marks of strength rather than weakness. The council chamber buzzed with voices. Some argued that humans were still too dangerous, too unpredictable. Others whispered that such resilience could be valuable. The high seat silenced them with one deep growl. "Enough, the humans have spoken. They have endured the trial. We will decide." The monitors went dark. Inside the station, the crew waited. Hours felt like days. Their bodies ached with every breath, but none spoke of quitting. Finally, the monitors lit again. The high seat appeared, his scaled face stern. "The council has reached its judgment," he said. "Humans are no longer dismissed as fragile. You are recognized as a people who endure. You will have a place among us." The crew let out a collective breath. Relief and pride washed over them. For the first time, they had been seen. Aaron bowed his head. "Thank you. We will honor this place." But the high seat raised one clawed hand. "Know this, the galaxy is vast. Pain waits in many forms. What you faced here is only the beginning. We will watch to see if your words hold true." Aaron met his gaze without fear. "We welcome the test." The transmission ended. The crew sat in silence for a moment. Then Mira smiled faintly. "They saw us." "At last they saw us." Ravi chuckled softly despite his exhaustion. "They called us fragile. Now they know the truth." Aaron looked at his crew, at the scars on their hands, at the tired but shining eyes. He felt pride swell again, stronger than before. "We proved ourselves today," he said. "But more than that, we proved what pain has made of us. They will never look at humanity the same way again." The crew returned to their ship. As it pulled away from the station, the neutron star pulsed behind them, fierce and unyielding. It had tried to break them, just as the council had believed it would. But they had endured. On the journey home, Aaron stood by the window staring at the stars. He thought of Earth, of the fishermen who braved storms, the old woman who survived quakes, the doctors who fought sickness. Each of them carried the same truth. Pain was not an end, but a beginning. Mira joined him. Her voice was soft. "Do you think they truly understand us now?" Aaron shook his head. "Not yet. They understand a little. But to truly know us, they would need to walk through our history, to feel the lessons we have carried. That will take time, but today was the first step." The stars shimmered outside, cold and endless, but inside the ship, warmth grew. Humanity had been tested. They had been scarred, and they had endured. The council had learned something they could never forget. Fragile was not the same as weak, and the galaxy was beginning to see the lesson of pain. The council chamber stood in silence. Days had passed since the storm that nearly tore the great orbital station apart, yet the memory still hung heavy in the minds of every delegate. Aliens of every size and form filled the hall. Some still carried marks of panic from that day, while others spoke in whispers about what they had seen. At the center, the tall crystalline being who served as the council's chair called the session to order. All eyes turned when the humans walked into the chamber. Their clothes were scorched, and their hands were still bandaged from burns. Faces looked pale from sleepless nights, but their steps were steady and their eyes were sharp. Ambassador Daniel led them forward, followed by Anna, the same human who had once stood bloodied in the arena. Now she stood tall, no longer the fragile figure many had dismissed. The council chair raised its shimmering arm. "Humans, you have risked your lives to save this station. We must speak of what we have witnessed." Daniel bowed his head politely before stepping forward. His voice carried calm strength. "We only did what we had to do. No life, no station, should be left to destruction when there is a chance to fight for it." An alien delegate with a body of iron plates leaned forward. His kind was known for strength. His voice rumbled like thunder. "But you worked even as fire spread around you. You bled while patching broken lines. Others fled while you stayed. Why would fragile beings endure such torment when stronger species would have withdrawn?" Anna stepped ahead of Daniel. Her bandaged hands trembled slightly, yet her voice was steady. Because pain does not stop us. Pain teaches us. Every cut, every burn, every broken bone tells us how to rise again. We have always lived with pain. It is part of our history, our growth, our spirit. We do not turn away from it. We learn from it until it becomes our strength. The chamber fell quiet. Many aliens shifted in unease. To them, pain was only weakness. To see it embraced as power unsettled their view of the universe. A long-bodied aquatic delegate spoke next. Its voice bubbled with disbelief. But suffering breaks the mind. Why would you welcome such a thing? Daniel answered softly, his eyes sweeping across the chamber. Because we are not unbroken glass. We are iron forged in fire. Pain can wound us, yes. But each wound teaches us how to endure more. Our ancestors survived endless storms, famines, wars, and sickness. Each time we thought we would fall, we rose. And when we rise stronger than before. That is why no disaster can truly end us. The words carried through the hall. Many delegates lowered their gaze, remembering how the humans had worked in smoke-filled corridors while others ran. They had seen engineers with torn skin push broken machines back to life. They had seen pilots fly through burning skies even as alarms screamed across the station. They had seen something no calculation could explain. At last, the council chair spoke again. Its crystalline form pulsed with deep light. Perhaps we were blind. We called you fragile because your bodies are soft, your bones thinner, your muscles weaker. But you have shown us that the measure of a being is not only in the strength of the body, it is in the spirit that refuses to surrender. Humanity carries a fire we did not see. Murmurs of agreement spread across the chamber. Some voices still doubted, but most carried new respect. Anna looked at them and lifted her bandaged hand. I stood in your arena and you called me fragile. You saw me fall and you saw me rise again. In the storm you saw us suffer, yet you saw us hold the station together. That is what pain taught us. Pain is not the end. It is the beginning of strength. For the first time, the warrior race that once mocked her rose from their seats. Their leader struck his chest in salute, a gesture of honor. One by one, other species followed. They had seen something no program, no weapon, no shield could replicate. Humanity had earned their place not by force but by resilience. The council chair raised its voice once more. Let it be recorded. Humanity will no longer be judged as fragile. Humanity has proven that its strength lies beyond the body. It lies in the will to endure, to adapt, and to rise from pain stronger than before. The seed of earth will not be questioned again. Daniel breathed deeply. He turned to his people, and for the first time since their arrival in this grand hall, he allowed a smile. Humanity was no longer seen as weak. They were seen as survivors, as fighters, as equals. Anna closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the blows in the arena and the fire in the station. Pain had marked her, but it had also lifted her. Now that same pain had given humanity honor among the stars. The chamber broke into thunderous sound. Alien hands, claws, wings, and tendrils struck in applause. Humanity's lesson had spread through every corner of the council. They were no longer fragile in the eyes of the galaxy. They were unbreakable.